Switzerland Heaven on Earth quotes. Sleep is the Swiss Army knife of health. When sleep is deficient, there is sickness and disease. And when sleep is abundant, there is vitality and health. If only God would give me some clear sign. Like making a large deposit in my name at a Swiss bank. Cows are my passion. What I have ever sighed for has been to retreat to a Swiss farm, and live entirely surrounded by cows, and china. My first job was a commercial for a Swiss insurance company. It was an 8-minute short with a proper story arc, and it ended up getting a spot at Cannes Lions. I was lucky to avoid the commercials where you're their puppet. I think the chance of finding beauty is higher if you don't work on it directly. Beauty in architecture is driven by practicality. This is what you learn from studying the old townscapes of the Swiss farmers. In the shallow parts of many Swiss lakes, where there is a depth of no more than 5 to 15 feet of water, ancient wooden piles are observed at the bottom, sometimes worn down to the surface of the mud, sometimes projecting slightly above it. No one in Switzerland knows me as the Swiss machine, and that's good because I wouldn't say I like it. The Germans and Austrians are very polite, the Swiss are very reserved, and the Spanish usually kiss me. The Brits write me letters. My mom's from a very rural village in Nigeria. She grew up in a war, and for her, it was essential that my brothers and I knew how to fend for ourselves. My dad bought me a Swiss Army knife for my 13th birthday, and we used to go camping, and he showed me how to light fires. Think of Bitcoin as a bank account in the cloud, and it's completely decentralized, not the Swiss government, not the American government. It's all the participants in the network enforcing. Life writing calls for any number of dubious gifts, a touch of OCD, a lack of imagination, a large desk, neutrality of Swiss proportions, tactlessness, and a high tolerance for archival dust. Most of all, it calls for an act of displacement. To find your subject, you must in some sense lose yourself along the way, is Richard Holmes's version. Cheese is good. And Britain, despite the grumblings of the French and the outrage of the Swiss, not to mention some plucky challenges from Italy, Austria, and Spain, has some of the best cheese in the world. We're world leaders in cheese. CERN's colliders usually shut down for a winter break, because the cost of electricity increases as the temperature drops and the Swiss turn on their heaters and tuck into their fondue. My father liked doing carpentry work and construction work during the summer vacation. And so my mother designed a cabin, a log cabin, it was like a Swiss chalet. I was 12 years old, and my father and I built it on a rocky point peninsula out into Lake Superior. And my father, being a good Swiss Puritan, always really insisted that if I was going to be an actor, I shouldn't just be an actor, I should know about the whole process. I want to be remembered for Swiss Family Robinson and Old Yeller. I think Swiss is probably my favorite film. One of my favorite things to cook is fondue. I'm Swiss. It's a great social meal. In the city, I wake bolt upright in the small hours, convinced that intruders are marauding through our apartment despite Swiss bank-style security arrangements. As a child growing up in a grey-skied Yorkshire village, I would occasionally happen upon a Bollywood movie on the television. After a few minutes of watching a bunch of sari-clad dancers cavorting on a Swiss mountain to tuneless music, I would switch over to some proper drama about housing estates and single mothers. The world of Terra Nova, as we joined it, there is a certain amount of prosperity there, and in fact, I would say that I was a bit surprised when I first got there to see how it had all developed and how sophisticated the colony as. I had envisioned it being a bit more Swiss Family Robinson, but that wasn't my call. Actors are like Swiss Army knives, we're ready to use any lever at any moment. According to my parents, I was supposed to have been a nice, church-going Swiss housewife. Instead, I ended up an opinionated psychiatrist, author and lecturer in the American Southwest, who communicates with spirits from a world that I believe is far more loving and glorious than our own. The only interesting thing that can happen in a Swiss bedroom is suffocation by a feather mattress.